My name is Laura Warburton. I live in Utah. I'm a mom. I'm a grandma. I'm a friend. I'm an advocate. I'm here to tell you about how my experience with Marian Edmunds changed my life. A few years ago, I was working at the legislator as an independent assistant. I just wanted to help. I wanted to be a part of the system and to do something that helped. And one of the issues I had was because my kids were being bullied was to have a bullying bill, just something that would notify parents. So I started that, and my legislator was so wonderful, Gage Froerer, that he just gave me carte blanche and said, let's do this, go do this. So by then he had taught me how important it was to have a conversation with everybody involved. The more people at the table that were stakeholders, the better. Sometimes you can have too many people, but oftentimes when you handle it right, you have the right people at the table, you get things done because everybody has a different point of view. So as we were moving along on this bill, the parental notification, a friend of mine contacted me and said, you're going to want to think about the LGBTQ community, and you're going to want to call this lady. So Representative Froerer did that, called her. And it's funny to listen to Marian express how that phone call went with Gage, because Gage is he's like a bulldog. And I can totally see him coming across that way. And yet he's got a heart of gold. And I think it's interesting to note that he is not Mormon. I am. And he is Catholic, and yet Marian thought both of us were just because we were in Utah. So I thought that was interesting. So we called Marian, had her over. I had no idea she was as scared as she expressed in her video. And we just started talking. And when she expressed that part of it, we adjusted the bill so that it would not out those kids, because that was important. But in that meeting, what she told me about really is what moved me more than anything else was the homeless youth in Utah. I had no idea. We're a state of families here. We're supposed to take care of our own. The idea that there were youth running around homeless was horrifying to me. We live in a cold climate. So she invited me to come see where they were. And I did put a call out immediately to the community, not just to my church and to my ward, but I went through the newspaper, I went through schools, I went through everybody, and I just said, we need to get these kids some help. And we did a coat drive, and they came out in great droves. Now, interesting, at first, I was nervous because back in 2013, 2012, actually, is when this was, I wasn't sure people would respond if they knew that this particular center was primarily for gay kids. And so that was a misconception on my part, but something I was concerned about. But I moved past that fear because bottom line, they were children. Children in the cold. Now, from that conversation, I learned how human trafficking often picks these kids up within 48 hours. And that in Utah, we only had like 8 hours where kids can be out of their house. And if someone knows about it, that they have to report it. Otherwise, they're in trouble. And I went, we need to change that. So that was not easy to change, but we did. That's how we moved forward and worked with the legislature to implement the ability for centers to pop up where the kids could be there for 48 hours. And the idea of being to bring to unification, to bring kids back home. But what was beautiful about this, and this is not necessarily between Marian and I, but I was scared to death of DCFS, and they turned out to be my biggest advocate. Then our legislator said, go figure out the rules, go to DOPL, the Department of Licensing, and help figure out the rules for these centers, which I did. So I was afraid of Marian too. I was afraid that people might think I was gay. I've been accused, and I say that respectfully now, but people have accused me because I'm a tough woman. I'm strong. And I was afraid that maybe if I got involved with this, that people would see me wrong. But then I decided that I am who I am, and that it didn't matter how people saw me. It mattered how I saw myself. And then what happened was Marian and I got very close. One day Marian and I were sitting in front of the newspaper, local newspaper. We were heading in to do some work and to do articles with them and to be interviewed. I turned to her and I said, I want you to know I don't believe in gay marriage, but I love you. And Marian said to me, Laura, I believe in gay marriage and I love you. That was a turning point for me, because I don't agree with everybody on anything. And to be able to love despite differences, to me, is what moves work forward. We're able to collaborate and make things happen. And probably crowning experience for our relationship was that my daughter died of suicide short 2 years after we met. And so that story became huge in Utah. And we used her death and her example to help with teen suicide. And we've made great changes. And Marian's been a part of that as well. But then the governor had a meeting, he went to a press conference with all the faith leaders, came together and talked about how important it was for us to come together over this for the children's sake. Marian couldn't make it. So she asked me to take her place and to speak in her place. Let's take a second and think about that for a minute. Think about what Marian has said and think about our differences and how we were able to overcome them. Like she says, because we became personally involved with one another, we became intimate in the most important ways. So I am deeply impressed that you're taking the time to do these case studies and to listen to them and to grow and to learn and have a desire to be a part of the solution. Right now, we're divided in a major way on so many different levels. We need this. We need communication. We need understanding more than any other time. So thank you for listening.